My name is Stacey Holmes, and my dream in life was to become the first Scottish female rapper on the BBC networks and be this artist who was known as Lady Boss.
Ring a ring a ring roses, round and round we go. I'll be the baddest girl that you know, and you can never come let me go. No, no, I can give it all for you. Say I can give it all for you. But even if you want me to, I never change where you want me to. Bad gal never give up on music. A bad gal never give up on a dream. Got a vision of where I gotta be. Me and you, maybe we could never ever be.
Stacey rapped for 6 years and also hosted her own show on Radio 1, living the dream when her health has taken a dramatic turn for the worse.
I started having headaches when I was 25. It was really bad, and I knew I had to get an investigation into what was actually wrong when I was collapsing. And one time I had an argument with my ex-partner and ended up in hospital to be told that I had a brain tumour.
So perhaps the most useful division is between primary brain tumours and secondary brain tumours. So primary brain tumours are tumours that have grown from cells that are in the brain, often from the cells that provide the sort of supporting structure to the brain. Whereas secondary brain tumours are tumours that are from cancers elsewhere in the body that have then spread to the brain.
I was told I had a benign tumour called a colloid cyst. That's in the foramen of Monro, which is the very, very centre area of your brain, and that if I didn't have it removed, I could die.
So when we talk about primary brain tumours, there is a real range from tumours that are completely benign. So these are tumours that would grow very, very slowly, and a patient will often have had this tumour for many, many years without knowing anything about it. A colloid cyst is an interesting example. You know, it doesn't invade into the healthy brain at all. And if the surgeon removes it, it will not come back again. However, it tends to grow at a very critical place in the brain. So the brain has got some fluid cavities within it. And this fluid, it's called cerebrospinal fluid. It kind of bathes the brain, and it's important for taking away waste products from the brain and providing nutrients for the brain. And this fluid circulates around these cavities in the brain. But at certain points, this fluid might have to pass through quite a narrow space. And these colloid cysts tend to grow very close to a very narrow point. So what happens is that when they reach a certain size, they very suddenly block the flow of this fluid. And so then the other cavities start to swell up, and then the patient can become quite unwell quite quickly. So they have to have an urgent operation. But then if that cyst is taken away, then the fluid can flow again, and then everything's back to normal.
The risks were involved with the operation were mainly mutism. Now, being a rapper, an artist, that was the biggest fear. So I ran away from the hospital, and maybe it took about 6 months to actually get the operation done, because I kept postponing all the appointments and trying to put it off so I could have extra time that I thought I needed, or for whatever reason. It was really stupid. I should have just trusted them.
So some people are completely devastated and never really recover from the diagnosis that they're given. Quite often we see that the patient is able to accept the diagnosis, but the family of the patient are not. Sometimes the family, the husband, wife, or the children find it more difficult to accept.
It was hard for me to accept that I had to sign the documents and sign what I thought was my life over to these people who I had never known before, because I was alone, and I went through the operation alone, I woke up alone, my time in hospital was mainly alone. I think Jack has been my motivator throughout this experience, because we've both got similar stories, me and my son, and I can support him while he supports me, and we work like that. So I built trust up with the closest people in the hospital, which was my brain surgeon, and he might be the only man I ever trust, because I'm still here and he said he wouldn't let me die. It was alien to have tubes in my throats, machines going. So I did try to fight that, panicked, and the nurses put Afrobeat music on at the time on my headphones, and for a couple of days coming round from the operation they had the same song on. That was annoying. Maybe this is why I woke up, like really woke up, because it's the same song over and over and over again. It would make anybody go a bit mad. After the operation, I wasn't able to talk properly for a good few days in the hospital, but it took months on the outside as well. But I do remember in the hospital I was singing African music in a different language. It couldn't even maybe come out right anyway, but being able to just hum and make any sort of song soothed me almost, to think I've still got it, but I can still talk, I can still make noise. You know, like mutism is you're mute, you can't talk, you can't make any noise, or I don't know how it works, but for me in my head it was, that's you, never talking again, you know. So
I know that, for example, some people can lose their ability to speak, but they are still able to sing, because it's a different part of the brain that is used. And so I am sure that for some people, music is incredibly helpful, both at an emotional, psychological level, but perhaps also in terms of rehabilitation and so on. Young people's brains are much better at adapting after damage. So that might be after an operation, or after a tumor, or after a stroke. So different parts of the brain can start to take on the functions of the part that was damaged. Whereas for older people, their brains don't adapt very well.
So after I woke up, I couldn't talk. I was smelling stuff again. I couldn't remember who I was. I had like looked in the mirror, seen like how I looked. My face was all misshaped. You know, I didn't look like myself, or what I knew myself was. Who was I? You know, this was a strange situation.
Brain tumours can affect, or often affect, some aspects of a person's personality, or their memory, or their ability to do complicated cognitive tasks. And there are many reasons why that happens. So first of all, the tumor itself, it may be in a part of the brain that is important for memory, or personality, or speech, or movement. So the tumor itself can cause problems. Secondly, when the operation is done, there may be damage to the brain in that region, and that can cause the same kind of problems: personality, memory, speech, movement.
I think after the operation that has changed my personality in the sense of taste, smells, things that happens, like for example coming home from the hospital to the house, I was like, whose clothes is this? Who painted that colour? You know, because it felt alien, that it wasn't my choice, but it was my house and my belongings. So I knew there was a change on the inside.
Brain tumours are one of the most difficult to manage because they do affect patients so profoundly and in so many different ways. And they're also very difficult to treat because the tumours are embedded within the brain. But we have made progress. So the kind of surgery that neurosurgeons do for brain tumour patients now is much more sophisticated than it used to be. But we still have a long way to go, and that's why we're doing research to try and develop new treatments.
I watched people going into the surgery and not coming back, and that could have been me. So I don't take it for granted that I'm alive, and I try my best to live it to the fullest. I don't think the story is over yet, deep down, but I've got anxiety. So every time I get a headache, you think, shit, is that back? It's a haunting you've got, because some headaches can be so bad, but you just need water. You need to drink enough water, or you're stressed. You just need to relax. If you've got appointments, don't cancel them. You know, trust the people are there to actually make you better, because you can do it.